Our next thing, it is a big update to open world gearing and caches. So, here's the way it works. So, you know the way in Dragonflight, you kind of got like a big weekly quest, and it might have said, do a super bloom. Do a super bloom and plant 5 seeds and do this and do that. So basically, here's the way that it is going to work. There are a total of 4 events in the world. There are then special world quests, and then there's also the sort of weekly wraparound quest. Now, these all give you caches, boxes of loot, right? And basically, the way it works is the first 4 of them will give you key fragments. Those are the keys used to open the chests and delves. And then the first 2 will give you bits of gear. That's it. I mean, I'm sure the others give you something, gold, resources, whatever. Basically, Blizzard's point here is they wanted to break this up so that, say you did not want to do the world quest, but you wanted to quickly smash out the events, you could do that. And you could choose to, maybe if you only wanted the gear, you on that character, you just do the 2 that'll give you the, adventurer gear pre-season, veteran gear when it is in the season. So that's basically how they've done it. Now, those keys, those are used in bountiful delves for the coffer. Basically, a bountiful delve is like a delve, but bountiful. It'll have chests that have got better drops, and this is, one of the keys that you'll use to open up that special chest from the bountiful delve. You'll know a delve is bountiful because you'll see it on the map. Whenever you go and you do a bountiful delve, it will then go away from the map because you've done it, and they will spawn in on a cadence.
Yeah, the icon will light up and the icon will tell you how long is left and be able to see it. It's all very actually good.
Yep, and Blizzard have said that this is not gated behind a specific activity. They want you to pick what you want to do. They say philosophically it's a shift from Dragonflight, where the game asked you to do specific things. Earn 1500 reputation, plant 5 seeds, do a super bloom, blah, 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 to get your veteran gear. And they basically say, in a way, it was good because there's loads of it kept that content popular. That meant people could do it. But they think that War Within can do better by not having the specific requirements for the activities. Instead, the activities just reward a cache. And the way that the game dispenses loot to you is based on the contents of your first 2 and first 4 caches, which just lets you do things whatever order you want. So you get 400 key fragments and 2 bits of veteran gear. And that's basically how that works, because they don't want you to feel like you need to do the one event that you hate.
Yeah. Aren't they worried about the game theory of choice paralysis? Interesting. I think that there's a world where they probably had that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I went, are we going to have, the kind of issue of, okay, well, people are going to go to a YouTube video, which events I do, which one gives me the most, which one has the better chance, which one's the quickest to do. And there's a little bit of that, for sure. But I also think you don't really, I think that's a very defensive way to look at it for like the worst possible case. Whereas in this case, if you look at it and go, they're going, we would like people to do what they want to do to have the fun. You're like, yeah, I assume that was the overriding principle. And I'll be very happy to do it because, as an example, special assignment world quests, how do I put this? I've been doing world quests for too many expansions and I don't want to do them anymore. So if you tell me I can do the Awakening the Machine, which is a wave defense thing, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that instead. Because I like it, because it's fun, it's gameplay. Earth in Theater, I'll probably do that until I've seen all of the events, because there's cool little plays they put on. And I'm like, oh, is that an Earthen who made it to the shores of Kalimdor, got the shit kicked out of her by a load of Kalimdor natives, and then went, fuck this, I'm going home. That's fun. I'll see those, and then maybe I'll move on to something different after that, or whatever, depends whatever you feel like doing at that point in time, which I think is actually like it. You can see the, hang on a second. Why are we telling people what to do instead of just giving them a choice? You can see that like philosophy become pervasive throughout the entire thing. Because it's even people talking about delves being mandatory there in chat. It's like,
mandatory.
Nothing's mandatory. You can alt F4, bro. You can alt F4. But it's like if you want to gear, you have 3 choices. You can't just get gear for doing nothing. You can't do that. That goes against the laws of a video game. So they go, you can do your do your raid, or your M+, or your delve. Do one of the 3, get in your vault, get an item.
Or if you want quicker, do 2 or 3 of those things. If you're a big Giga gamer.
Yeah, if you want more choice, not quicker,
Yeah.
if you want more choice.
Yeah.
And if you want all the gear, just spam M+ at the highest level, like you will every time anyway if you are that person.
The thing is, like, I think the definition of mandatory has been a little overblown.
Oh, it's been abused, like.
Yeah, like that's not mandatory at all.
Yeah.
And delves are only going up as far as heroic gear for the hardest content. So
I don't know what the-
I
I don't
think
know how many
people
delves you have to do, right?
mandatory is only so the language of mandatory. We should probably talk about where it came from because that comes from competitive mythic players.
From
feeling-
mandatory.
There you go.
Tories are at it again, yes.
It's the Tories.
Yes. Sorry.
It's because, say, in Korthia, the way that things worked
God.
meant that they had to do an inordinate amount to stay competitive for the hardest content in the game. But when you're dealing, I think the second you're dealing with heroic raids, which are very approachable, that's just no longer a concern. Right?
Yeah.
Like the talk of things being mandatory, that was speaking to a specific set of higher end players. It wasn't really speaking to the broad player base because it's never been mandatory that you have to, because like by that logic, it's also mandatory to raid and Mythic Plus. And if you don't Mythic Plus, then you're not doing the thing that's mandatory apparently and you're screwed. Whereas
Big truth.
it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Like, if delves were somehow giving you mythic gear and were too easy for that, then we'd have a problem. That now wouldn't be the problem of mandatory, because that's not what mandatory means. It would be the rewards are not balanced with the content. And previously WoW has had problems where Mythic Plus and Raid have not been balanced with each other. Mandatory only really happens when you're talking about a higher end competitive context. Basically, there's no reason to stress. It's really fine. You don't have to care.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you could have a small chance of having slightly more gear on your character if you played it more, which is always the case anyway, because you could always do 1 or 2 more Mythic Plus runs. You could always try to pug the first 2 Mythic bosses. There's always something else you could do.
Yeah, I think that's where like anyone kind of arguing from that perspective, it kind of falls apart a little bit. It's like, you consider stuff mandatory, but if you're not doing Mythic, then it's not mandatory. You can just do whatever you want and roughly get by. And I think the more people kind of free themselves from, because it is genuinely in a lot of cases, it is like, maybe not even social pressure, maybe it's almost like a more parasocial pressure, considering it's not, people won't literally go, you did not do it, I'm not your friend anymore. But, it'll be like the community consensus is to do these things because of a load of fucking streamers. Seagulls, yeah. I can't wait to, oh no, I'm moving closer to the river. It's over for me. But yeah, I think there is that, like, the kind of need to get the best gear that is from some weird conception that I don't quite completely follow. I mean, obviously I get it. It was baked in from when everyone did play all of the game, from gear score and wrath, and DPS meters from 4 seconds into the game's release. Obviously that's all there, but it's like you let your guildmates down. Yeah, I think in most cases that's like there's an element of but if you're thinking that and not talking to your guild about your performance and gear, then that is
if your guild are a pack of dicks, then sure. But like if you show up and still perform well, even if you don't have the best gear, then that's okay. Most guilds will understand that life gets in the way. If your guild is, say, raiding heroic and they're acting like that, that's completely not reasonable. Heroic is in no way hard enough.
Cakewalk, like?
Yeah, it's a cakewalk. There's no reason to be that serious if you're a heroic guild. Now that can make sense if it's mythic and if it's competitive mythic, and that's something that everybody is signed up to do.
I mean, you can have that in heroic as well. You can have people who commit to being like reasonably quick, or at least trying and putting a little bit of effort in, and like having like a simulacrum of the top experience without having to put themselves through the grinder, obviously. But it is like that needs to be like a full on opt in thing.
Yeah, but yeah, and like not doing your delves is just not that bad.
Yeah, yeah. If someone says you didn't do your delves, you can't be my friend, then good. You've won.
yeah, you've won. Those are strange people. Again, I say this because you do not need that shit to clear heroic, like at all. Look at the Amir Trasil stats for heroic. Like, yeah, it was a really hard raid in mythic. On heroic, it was easier than Aberrus, and Aberrus was easy. Aberrus was super easy
until Zedskarn.
Until Zedskarn.
Zedskarn.
We all love Zedskarn.
Zedskarn. What a boy. What a bastard.
Because it's like, I know where that argument comes from. It comes from back in the day when you were maybe doing 25 heroic, back when heroic was the hardest in the game. But that's just not the case anymore. And the modern heroics, they are easy enough. Like they're, I mean, compare Farak to Razageth even.
God, I miss
Razzie.
I miss Razzie. I miss her. Yeah, I think because there's a couple people in chat that are saying things like, even your guild isn't said, it still feels like you're letting your guild down. You're not doing the best you can. It's a personal pressure for me, so self-inflicted. TBH. I think that's like, if you feel like that's self-inflicted, yeah, that's obviously like, I'm not going to turn it like a skill issue. Just don't think that way, because that's not fair. But I think it is something you can kind of go,
well, where does the anxiety come from?
Yeah,
why is that stressful?
Yeah, literally, like ask your guild, be like, do you feel like I've let you down this week? And they'll be like, no, just chill. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee it. Like,
because I guess there's been a thing where, and it's how some of the community discussion goes. You maybe see loads of players playing at a really high level and doing absolutely everything they can to optimize the shit out of their characters. And then you can end up feeling like you need to do that culturally because the people that you watch do that, and the people that your friends watch do that. But like, a lot of that stuff is only applicable in their sphere of play, not in, likely, I'd say likely not in yours, just like statistically, because most people aren't like top, let's just say top 1,000 mythic or something. So it's like, you see, it's weird because it's a challenge for Blizzard. A lot of the reason why they will not have wanted to reward people for things, or be sort of stingy or more conservative in their designs, is because they're worried about that reflex in the player base. And like, I guess some of that can trickle down from the top end, but I think that's an accident. It's not like, it's not like you go onto Max's stream and he turns to the camera and says, if you don't do your +8 delves this week for your heroic raiding guild, you should be G-kicked. Like, he doesn't do that. None of them do that. Because, they're all completely self-aware that they're doing the thing that a low percentage of players do, that is opt-in. And like, yeah, of course they'll have criticisms for Blizzard, because Blizzard is also designing the game for them. And sometimes they design parts of the game for them that end up feeling mandatory and really bad. But again, that's like kind of for them. I'm thinking about Zareth Mortis. I remember the whole Zareth Mortis rap debate.
Zareth Lestis, yes.
The the rap debate, the Cortheus stuff. Man. Ugh. God, remember that's the sort of things we had to talk about.
I still genuinely can't believe they released Corthia.
Sure did.
I can't believe they signed off on that, and when that goes out,
it had cool ideas. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't come together.
Yeah.
It didn't come together.
The City of Secrets. Here's a brown island.
The rocky outcropping of secrets.
Yeah. Incredible times. Unbelievable. I loved it. I hated Corthia with all my passion. That was painful every single time. The mall was clearly not done. Yeah, but the mall was like, how do I say this? The mall was toast. It was done. It was like, nah, this ain't it. This is not it, Blizzard, please. Everyone knew that. But Korthia, like, yeah, the mall had at least had effort in. It wasn't done. Korthia looks a little bit like just fucking minimum viable product. The mall looked unfinished. Korthia looked like they just went, it's done. It's done. Whatever. It's fine. And obviously they probably worked really hard on it and stuff. It just didn't come together because of the unique challenges of the time. Let's be very democratic about it.
The unique challenges of time.
Everything was immensely on fire.